Posterize the books today on this beautiful Wednesday. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are back. We are live here at the GunzPicks studios here in beautiful downtown Maryland. This is GunzPicks, and this is the Breakin Ankle Show, the college basketball hottest Catholic show on the planet, baby. And man, oh man, did we have ourselves a little bit of a good day, a little bit of profit. Went 3-2. We hit easily with Creighton. Big time win on that one. Of course, we backed it up with Utah State and BYU at home in revenge style, but we did not prevail on two other picks for the day, but that is okay. Profit is profit. We move forward, and we are going to sweep the board again because I have 5 more plays for you today. I'm due for the sweep. 3-2s are great. We love 3-2s. We love profit. However, I love Big Daddy Sweeps has entered in the building. It says, welcome to the Con Show. Give him the horn. Let's go. All right. We got to get this going here because I have 3 games, and a lot of these early games are hitting around 7:30 tonight. So we have to get to them now as we speak here. Let's go with the first game that is on the board here. I'm going to go, let's see. Let's look at Florida versus Alabama. Now, Alabama's going to be playing at home. Coleman Coliseum is the spot. Tuscaloosa, Alabama is the place to be. 7 p.m. tip on this one, and we're going with Alabama on this one. I got -8.5. I still like it now. I'm looking at the board. I'm seeing -10s, -9.5s, -9s. It's good. Take it anyways. I think Bama gets it done here. Let's talk about these two teams and what is going on. What do both teams do well? They have great offenses, right? You have Bama number 1 in offensive efficiency in the country. You have Florida ranked 10th. But if you break down the numbers a little bit further, you look at Bama ranked 4th in field goal percentage, 11th in three-point percentage, 6th in free throw percentage. All these key stats on the offensive side that I like when I'm capping a team. Now you got to look at Florida. On the other side, when you look at their numbers, they're 147th in field goal percentage, 193rd in three-point percentage, 281st in free throw percentage. Not really good numbers for the 10th offensive efficient team in the country. However, they have a lot of second chance opportunities. They do get to the boards. They do rebound very well. They're second in offensive rebounding in the country. Now you got to look on the defensive side of the ball. Bama, 72nd in defensive efficiency. Florida ranked 90th. All right, so you have a better defense in Alabama. Alabama's just been on a tear at home, too. You got to keep backing them. 7-0 ATS at home in the last 7 home games. 6-0 ATS in conference, winning by an average margin of 21.2 points per game at home versus conference opponents. Florida has covered in the last 4 road games, winning 3 out of those. But in those wins, you got to look at the teams that they played. We're talking Missouri. We're talking Georgia. We're talking UK. I'll give them Kentucky all day long. But that was at a time when Kentucky was going through a little bit of a slow slump, a 4-game window where they lost 3 out of the last 4 games. And that was in that window that they had to play Florida. So take that with a grain of salt when you're looking at those wins on the road. Florida also lost, if you actually look at the other road games that they played, they lost to Wake Forest by 11, Mississippi by 18, Tennessee by 20, all on the road, all good teams, and they got smoked. I think you're going to see a similar situation here, but plus you look at the matchup. Bama is 4-0 ATS versus Florida in the last 4 meetings. I think it's the perfect spot to jump on Alabama, and I'm going to make this my best bet of the night. 1.5 unit banger, baby. Coleman special, the best bet of the night. Love it. Love this game. Love it so much. I wish I had a Bama hat. I got to get one of those so we get in there. Back into the chat, talk to the boys. And we got Matthew Owen says, let's go breaking some ankles today. Give him a little bit of a yeah. That's right. That's right. Let's go into the next game on the board. Let's play a little bottom feeder action here. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go into a little bit of ACC action. We're going to take a little travel down to the Georgia side. Atlanta, Georgia, that being the McCamish Pavilion, is where Clemson and Georgia Tech are going to be facing off here. 7 p.m. tip is the time. Atlanta, Georgia is the place, and McCamish Pavilion is the spot. And I'm going to be going with the road favorite here, Clemson. I'm wearing the hat for a reason, not just for my good looks. Give me Clemson -8, 1.5 unit special. Let me tell you why. Clemson, statistically, just the better team in this spot. Clemson, 21st in offensive efficiency, 31st in field goal percentage, 11th on the free throw line. Going against Georgia offense that is 149th in offensive efficiency, 270th in field goal percentage, 292nd in free throws. So you have a huge discrepancy on the free throw side. You have a huge discrepancy on the offense, just total offensive efficiency altogether, and in field goal percentage. Defensively, you have Clemson, great defense, pretty much 65th in defensive efficiency, 31st in defensive rebounds. Going up against a Georgia Tech defense, it's 146th in defensive efficiency, 355th in creating turnovers. They don't create a lot of turnovers, and they're 215th on the boards. So you have this Clemson team that's probably going to get a lot of second chance opportunities. They can score points, they can get fouled, and they can make their free throws. Also, look at Georgia Tech, 2-5 straight up at home this season. In their last 7 games, 2-5 ATS versus conference opponents at home. So you have that factor in there too. Georgia Tech, not a good home team. Clemson has excelled on the road, which is you don't see a lot of good road teams in college basketball these days. It seems like every time you get the home team, it's you might as well just back them all together. Whereas the away team is just trying to survive. But Clemson, on the other hand, has played very well on the road. 7-2 ATS on the road, covering it in their last 4, 3-1 straight up in that sample size. And we're not talking about bottom feeding teams here. We're talking about FSU, Duke. They only lost to Duke by 1 in Cameron. Tough place to play. And they beat UNC outright in their own in the Dean Dome. And also they beat Syracuse on the road as well. Tough place to play there in that big Boeheim court, whatever they call it now. Only straight up loss was to Duke by 1 point, like I said. Clemson coming off a tough road home loss too. Yeah, if you watch them on Saturday, they played NC State right down to the wire. NC State prevailed in that game. We did have NC State. If you watch the Late Night Banger show, probably the only game I hit out of the 1 and the 4. There's the only 1 and 4 that I've had in 2 weeks. So take that with a grain of salt there. And it's a revenge game. Clemson lost to Georgia Tech at home January 16th, 93-90 in overtime as 11.5 point favorites. The line didn't move that much. We're seeing 8.5 hit the board right now. And that really isn't much of a line move from game A to game B, in my opinion, for home court advantage. Not really that big of a home court advantage. I think Clemson is just overdue for a win. They're hungry. They're still playing for their tournament lives here. And I think this is a perfect spot for them to get right in this spot off the loss versus a Georgia Tech team that really has nothing to play for. Give me Clemson. Wearing the hat. Buy hats engaged. -8, 1.5 unit play. Baby. Peter in the chat says, Guns is revved up. Let's go. You know I'm revved up. I'm ready for this card to take a shot across the bow. And, of course, my guy, Michael, always in the chat, always throwing plays, always giving his insight. Love him in the chat. Always. What up, Guns? What up, my guy? Buddy. And he says, what a night. 6-0 on Tuesday. Got one play tonight. New Mexico -5.5. Don't like it, love it, don't want it, need it. I'll get to that play in a second. All right, let's go to the next play here. This one's going to be tipping off at 7:30 p.m. tonight. See if I missed anyone. Yes. Let's go to the 7:30 game. We're going to Furman versus Sanford on this one. Pete Hanna Center in Homewood, Alabama. And we're going with Sanford on this one. Love this team. This team has got some tournament sleeper potential. I will say that with the Sanford team, but I'm going to take him here at -7, 1.5 unit play. Let me tell you why. Key to this game, Sanford's offense. Got to be smoking on this one. They're ranked 43rd in offensive efficiency, 6th in field goal percentage, and they're the number 1 3-point shooting team in the country. That's right. This team likes to score points. They like to score fast, and they like to blow you out the doors in their home court. You got a Furman defense they're going against tonight. Who's 188th in defensive efficiency, 249th in defending shots, 97th in defending the 3. So defensively, a little bit of a mismatch here versus the Sanford offense. Also, you got to look at the revenge factor here for Sanford. Sanford did lose to Furman 78-68 as 2.5 point road dogs. Now the line is swing 9.5 points and made it at -7 right now. I think the 7s are still on the board as we speak. So go shop around and get it now. I'm seeing 7.5 start popping up now, but 7s are still available. Furman won 3 straight games, but they've won 3 straight, but they're 1-6 in their last 7 games. So they're keeping to the level of their competition. Now you see them not even favored. They've been favored in most of these cases in a lot of these games, and now you see them as a big dog. Then you got to look at Furman on the road. Not really good ATS wise either. 1-6 ATS in their last 7 road games, and then Furman as a dog, not a dog a lot, but when they are, they underperform in those situations. 2-4 ATS as a dog this season, and 0-4 ATS versus conference opponents as a dog. So you have those situations there that are all check boxes to take Sanford. Sanford has played well as of late, covering 4 out of the last 5, and they're 6-0 straight up, 4-2 ATS since their loss to Furman 6 or 7 games ago. They're also beating their opponents in that sample size by 16.8 points per game. So this is a team that's revving up at the right time, going into March, going into the conference tournament, and going to make a nice little run to try to win their tournament to get into their ticket punch to get into the conference tournament. Also, Sanford 6-2 ATS in their last 6 home games. I sincerely hope that this team just goes on an exceptional run, gets past their conference tournament, gets into the tournament, and I'd love to see where they're seated against whatever team, if they're a 12 or a 13 seed, whoever they're going to play. I think it's a prime opportunity to be back in this Sanford team right now. They play really fast. They score a lot of points. Their defense is a little bit on the weaker side, but they're going to create problems for somebody down the road, I hope. But we're going to be taking them here tonight on the revenge factor versus a Furman team that is just struggling covering spreads. Give me Sanford -7, 1.5 unit play, baby. Hit the gun. All right. Let's see. Michael's got something to say. He goes, let me ask you, does that Charlotte Memphis line make any sense to you? Why is Charlotte the number 2 team in the conference catching 7 versus Memphis? Let me tell you why. I did look at this game too. And I wanted to back Charlotte. I do. I really do. However, there was a press conference with Penny Hardaway. He said a lot of things about his team. I think there's a little bit of a motivational factor here. Something happened in that locker room. I think there's going to be a get right spot here for Memphis. I fear it with all the fears in my blood. However, 1-13 against the spread at home is not going to allow me to back you at any point, but this could be the potential of a Memphis swing. They are winning games at home. I will give you that, but they're playing to the level of their competition. It's very odd that they're getting so many points versus this Charlotte team, because Charlotte's been playing really well, at least in the past like 4 or 5 game sample. However, I think they're 2-4 ATS on the road this season. Not a really good road team. Maybe that's a factor that's playing into this number. I can't take them. I can't touch Memphis. I can't touch Charlotte. It's just kind of 2 ATS bad flat size for both teams. So I'm going to leave it alone. But if you see Memphis come out here and win by 20, it has to do with something that happened in that locker room with Penny, or there's some motivational factor. You go look up that speech that Penny Hardaway said to his team, or at least in his press conference to the press, about the performance of his team. Also, look what Rick Pitino said about his team, because it's like 2 separate opposite things. One was a little bit more on the positive side, but Rick Pitino just basically shit on his whole entire team. It's crazy stuff. But I was checking that out before the show. But let's go into the next play here. Let's not dilly-dally around. Let's go to the SEC. Let's talk a little Kentucky Wildcats. Let's talk a little LSU Tigers. LSU Tigers playing at home, 6.5-point dog. They're playing at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 9 p.m. is the tip. And I'm going to be taking the dog here at home. Give me LSU plus 6.5, 1.5 unit play. Let me tell you why. Why are you backing LSU, Ryan? Why are you backing LSU, Guns? LSU is 2-6 ATS, 4-4. I'm sorry, 2-6 straight up, 4-4 ATS in the last eight games, but 5 of those games are on the road. Let's check that box off. Throw those out, and one of those was against Alabama, and Alabama was off a loss to Auburn. So they've gotten these situational plays with the LSU Tigers that their losses are explainable, or their non-covers are explainable, right? Like I said, 4-4 ATS. In their last 8 games, 5 of those were on the road, and one of those was against Alabama. LSU could be able to score points versus this UK team, because when you look at Kentucky's defense, they're 82nd in defensive efficiency, and they don't create turnovers. They're 229th in creating turnovers. and they're not great on the boards defensive rebounding. They're 235th in that statistic. Also, you got to look at Kentucky, ranked 304th in opponent scoring, giving up 78 points per game to their opponents. A lot of that has to do with Kentucky playing super, super fast, and the teams that they're going against are kind of staying with them on the scoring end. But I think this is one of those situations with LSU. They're going to keep this game close. With Kentucky, they're ranked number 3 in scoring in the country. However, they've slowed the pace down in the last 2 games. If you actually see the numbers, they scored 70 and 75 in the last 2 games. So the numbers have really slowed down for this Kentucky team. Maybe it's something that Calipari is trying to get this team to ease in and slow the game down, knowing that their defense isn't that good against good opponents. And it's been working for them. I'll give them that. They're coming off that big win versus Auburn on the road. And speaking of that game, I think this is a sandwich spot. If you don't know what a sandwich is, Kentucky played Auburn on Saturday in a huge road win, 70-59, won that game, held them to 59 points at home. This Auburn Tigers team that is really, really good. I'll give them that. And guess who they got up on deck? That's right, Alabama Crimson Tide. So you have this LSU flat spot going on the road. Don't even care about this game. I'm worried about the opponent that I got on Saturday. I just played a big game, held Auburn to 59 points at home, highest of highs. Now I got to go and give full ditch effort versus this LSU team? No, I don't think so. I think this is a situational spot for me. And actually, you look at LSU, they've covered in the last 3 meetings versus Kentucky. So with all that being said, I think LSU plus 6.5 is a perfect number for me. Let's get it done. Give me LSU plus 6.5, 1.5 unit play, baby. Getting back into the chat. I don't disagree with you, Sox Nation. They are overrated. Like I said, they're an unbackable team, 1-13 at home. They are winning games, but I think they're getting in these super inflated numbers every time they're favored versus their conference opponents, and they're not covering. Michael in the chat says, "Man, LSU is so bad, but yeah, I think LSU is the right side. Kentucky always chokes off a big win." I agree. That's why I'm not a guy that backs LSU week after week after week. This is one of the rare situations that I think LSU is in the perfect spot. And I'm just going to say, you know what? I'm just going to take the +6, hoping the situational sandwich works out, and then Kentucky probably plays a decent game versus Alabama next week. Sox Nation says, "Thanks, Guns, for taking LSU. He says, Kentucky is 18 to 19-year-old kids. They are starting, starting to figure it out." Correct. I know they're starting to figure it out, but I think this is one of those spots. They're gonna play up to the level of their competition in this situation, and I think they're gonna play really good against Alabama. And I think they play Alabama at home, which is a good position for them. Playing in Rupp Arena, getting it done there. And Kentucky's more of a better spot in the next game on Saturday than it is in this situational spot. I'm taking my chances on this one, taking LSU plus 6.5. I could be wearing egg on my face, but you know what? I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to take the chance. I'm going to put my sack on the table and say LSU plus 6.5. All right, last game on the board, of course, got to do with a late night degenerate special, a late night banger for the people. We're going to go to the Mountain West. You know me, I am Mr. Mountain West. I've been hitting Mountain West bets for you on this show consistently. I gave you 2 yesterday, and both of them cashed, baby. And we're going to do it one more time with Colorado State versus New Mexico. This is at the Pit. I love this nickname for the arena. Albuquerque, New Mexico. 10 p.m. is the time and the tip on the East Coast, 7 on the West. And we're going to be going with New Mexico, the favorite here. I got -6.5, so I know there's some early lines out there, but this thing is egregiously going up as we speak. I could only find -6.5. I got there late to the table. However, still think it's the perfect position here for New Mexico. Both teams, you look at them statistically from KenPom perspective, offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency, they're right on top of each other. Colorado State, 33rd in offense, 34th in defense. New Mexico, 31st in offense, 30th in defense. So you have these two teams that are pretty much even with each other. However, it's a home team versus an away team. New Mexico has excelled at home this season, going 11-2 straight up, 9-3 ATS at the Pit, but they've lost back-to-back home games, so they should be fired up here versus this Colorado State team after those 2 back-to-back home losses. Colorado State has underperformed on the road too. You got to consider that. 3-5 straight up in ATS and road games this season, but they are 1-5 straight up in ATS versus conference opponents on the road. So they haven't excelled in conference on the road this season. And it's a revenge game for New Mexico. They lost to Colorado State 76-68 as 4-point road dogs. Now New Mexico is favored here, 6.5, 7, 11-point swing. I love this big, egregious swing. We've been taking advantage of these left and right. We're going to do it once again. Also, Colorado State is a ranked team as a dog versus an unranked home favorite. You know we love these spots. When we see them, we pounce, and this is a perfect spot to pounce on the Lobos here in the pit where they play their best ball in a revenge spot versus a ranked opponent. They're going to storm the court. They're going to dominate this game. Give me New Mexico minus 6.5, 1.5 unit play, baby. Yes, Michael, they are going to win by double digits. Hit the horn. Michael says, what do you think about George Mason and Dayton? I almost gave George Mason as one of my picks tonight. I haven't played it. I got off of it. I talked myself off of it. Don't know why, but I like George Mason tonight at home in Fairfax, Virginia. I think Dayton, as a single-digit favorite on the road, they underperformed typically in these spots. I think there's 4 or 5 situations where this happens. They may have covered one. I don't like that situation for them. JMU at home does play their best ball, and they do play competitive in these short dog spots. They don't like to play as a favorite, but they love to play as a dog, and you get them at home to boot. I think it's more of a JMU spot than it is a Dayton spot, but I'm not going to play it right now. I think Dayton is arguably one of the best, if not the best team in their conference in the A10. So I'm going to avoid that game altogether, but I do lean towards the JMU side. And Michael agrees with me, of course. Double digits, I would bet them to 7.5. My concern past that is I think this is 12 with like a minute to go, and then New Mexico not great at the line. That's true. That's one of the factors in there that I saw. I didn't talk about that one. That is one of the concerns you need to look at is New Mexico on the line. If the game's if they're up 10 and they get into and Colorado State starts fouling to try to get points on the board, that could be a tough situation there. So hopefully they're blowing them out big time before that happens. But yes, I agree with you on that one. Probably 8 would be the spot. I think I would probably not take them anymore, but I would take them up to 8. Sox Nation says in this conference, top 6 teams split with each other. So take New Mexico. Yeah, if you actually look at the home and road splits, all these teams that play each other, we're talking like what? Nevada, San Diego State, Colorado State, New Mexico. Every time these teams all go onto the road and play each other, they beat each other up. Boise, you can probably throw in there too. It's always home to away splits with the Mountain West. It's not really hard to figure out, guys, and you can see it with the home versus away correlation in the line from game A to game B. So take advantage of that with the Mountain West teams. It's perfect. And I always continue to bet the Mountain West as long as I keep cashing them tickets. You know what I'm saying? Love taking the home teams in those spots. But yeah, any other leans that I got on this one? I almost let me see on the 7:00 slate. I think we're already past it now. Not really much to talk about unless you want to take some live action. Man, do I want to take Duke today, but I'm not going to do it because I'm a fan. And I don't know if it's my head, my heart, or my gut that's telling me to take Duke, but I kind of lean towards that direction on that one. Lean towards Providence. I just love them as a dog. I love them on the road. And Xavier is a falling knife. I cannot back them at this point. And yeah, UTSA, I got a slight lean on too. I mean, they're playing South Florida, and if you remember, we took South Florida on Sunday, and they demolished FAU. They're coming off the highs of wins. Now they have to go on the road where they're not as motivated as they are in their home court, and they're playing a UTS team which is lackluster at best. They're getting 6.5, I believe. So go grab that one. I like that one, UTSA. I think that's pretty much all I got. Oh, I kind of lean towards the Indiana side versus Nebraska. I just don't like Nebraska on the road. And Marquette first half would be a lean too. They're playing DePaul. They're coming off that bad loss to UConn. A little bounce back action on this one. I think 15.5 or 16 is the line. So yeah, I think Marquette comes out there smoking and gets the job done there. And I probably lean towards the game as well. That's a big line. I think it's from game A to game B. They were minus 18 versus them in the first game. Now they're minus 26 or 27 right now. Almost 10-point swing. So that tells you Marquette in a blowout. But yeah. Oh, what about the Irish? What about our Irish? Man. Oh, they're playing Louisville. On the road. No play on that one. I don't know. I don't know about that one at all. See, I'm more of a Duke fan on the basketball side than I am. Notre Dame's my football team. They've always been since I was like 8 years old. Duke's always been my basketball team since I was like 10. So I got to stick with the yeah, I do cheer for I'll say I do cheer for Notre Dame regardless if it's baseball or whatever. I love root for them when they were good in basketball and they made that nice little Elite 8 run getting beat by Kentucky. I love that Duke team. I mean, I'm sorry, Notre Dame team. But I'm gonna have to back off on that one. I think it's two bad teams. Louisville, ugh, but that's going to do it here for the show. I want to appreciate everybody that's watched us live on whether it's been Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is the GunzPicks channel. And hit the notification bell, hit the like button, the thumb, and hit the subscribe button so you know every time we go live. You can also follow me on Instagram at GunzPicks, and you can follow me on Twitter at GunzPicks as well. You can follow me on all social media events wherever I'm putting out action. So that's going to do it for the show. Like I said, best bet of the night is going to be Alabama minus 8.5. We're going to go New Mexico minus 6.5. We're going to go Stanford minus 7, Clemson minus 8, and then we're going to dog of the day LSU plus 6.5. Those are the 5 plays. Let's cash some tickets today, boys. Let's dominate the board. And as always, let's keep dancing. Bye.